Okay, let's make a start. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. My name is James Bale. I'm the Head of Marketing and Insights at Contact Cybersecurity. And this is the first, actually, in an exciting new series of executive cyber briefings. So these briefings are aimed very specifically at CEOs and board members. They will last a bite-sized 20 minutes. I know you're very busy people, so we'll fit this within your day, hopefully quite seamlessly. Why are we doing this? Well, as a cybersecurity advisory company, we talk to many CEOs, we talk to many board members like yourselves. And while it's very clear that cybersecurity is a high priority for this audience, we also find there's a lack really of relevant information at the right level to help CEO and board take appropriate action to address the cyber threat landscape. And this is very much ever evolving, changing, accelerating. So these sessions are to help you, firstly, better understand that landscape, and then also to give you actionable and structured advice in a bite-sized way to take back to your board and to take back to your IT teams to ensure your cyber defenses and your processes are as robust as they really need to be. Now, these sessions are actually going to be hosted by a range of different speakers, some from within Contact and many from outside Contact as well. And first up today, we have Contact's Chief Security Officer, Joe Burtnick. Now, Joe has an extensive breadth of experience in a range of cyber leadership roles, including being head of data center security at Symantec in Silicon Valley. So great to have you here today, Joe. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, James. Appreciate the intro, and yeah, doing well.
Perfect. Well, look, I'll allow you to crack on. Now we've got 20 minutes, so we don't want to hold our audience up. So yeah, over to you. Thanks.
No, I appreciate that, James. Thanks for the intro. Well, as I was thinking about how to kind of sum up some of the biggest trends and things that are really, in cybersecurity, what's that landscape look like? And of course, there's a myriad of statistics out there to really demonstrate how relevant the threat is. But as I thought about it, a lot of organizations, unfortunately, take a kind of an odd approach to security. One where they try to not be, maybe one of the big name targets, if you will, or try to keep the basics underway, but really not taking a strong look at security. And it reminded me of a story I'd heard as a child about two backpackers out in the woods who come across a bear. And at that point, they knew that if they made a move, the bear would pounce on them and kill them both, unfortunately. And the first backpacker starts stripping off his backpack, clothes, boots, etc., so that he can run faster. And the other one says, do you think you can actually outrun a bear? And he says, no, I just have to outrun you. And unfortunately, that really represents a lot of how organizations are responding to cyber attacks. And the unfortunate thing is that cybercrime and the kind of adversaries that we're defending ourselves against are seeing an increase in crime globally, and a lot of it's driven based on our own internal organizations, such as increasing footprint, digital controls being less prevalent. We're protecting threat surfaces inconsistently, of course, supply chain issues, which we'll drill into, and the ever sophistication of these cybercrime organizations to be able to monetize their attacks. And really, it comes down to looking at some of the common threads in a lot of the attacks we've seen recently. Even our most secure technology, DLT technology, encryption, etc., continues to be compromised. And we see as well compromises to supply chains across the globe, but also to IT sector supply chains. And all of these attacks have in common vulnerabilities in people and process that really enabled the attack. While Bitcoin and digital ledger technologies can all be quite secure, it's the implementation of those across different exchanges and wallet technologies that really becomes the target of attackers. Just like instead of attacking everybody out there, they attack everybody running SolarWinds or Okta and be able to breach those common services. And it's those breaches in the supply chain that have really exposed the common shared risk we have as a group of organizations trying to defend ourselves and protect our businesses. And I think one of the things that we need to understand much more clearly is who is the adversary we're in this war to defend our organizations. Who are we protecting our organization against? It's not, unfortunately, just the disgruntled employee. It's not some lone hacker that's for some reason decided to target your business. It is a collective. It is a group of different organizations, all highly specialized, to be able to deliver their component elements of an overall attack chain. And of course, all of this funded through the dark web. And because of that, they're able to monetize and deliver and target organizations at a scale that makes all of us an opportunity. It's not two backpackers facing a single bear. It's a group of backpackers facing an army of bears. And unfortunately, driven by ideology, greed, and most importantly, opportunity. Our adversaries are picking us off, the weaker members of the herd at will, if you will. But as I said, as they start to scale, we all become targets of opportunity. And unfortunately, it's not just that we have an adversary out there motivated. They are supremely adaptable, highly resourced and motivated, and to be quite honest, very formidable. And I don't think we appreciate the scale and capability that the dark web economy has allowed the adversary, if you will, to grow. In the dark web economy, we have the purest form of capitalism. We have organizations highly adapting their business models, and how their approaches to delivering attacks at scale. And these aren't lone attack groups. These aren't little collectives sitting in a back room. These are proper organizations where they walk into an office every day. They have retirement plans and they have levels of achievement to achieve higher levels of payout. And of course, that payout's key, because without Bitcoin, hackers wouldn't be getting paid. And so through the ability to monetize through Bitcoin and other digital currencies, they now have all the resources at bear to be able to scale up what they do and to deliver attacks across whole swaths of organizations. And so, the days when you might not be a target of attack because you won't come to that level of profile, you're not, British Airways or a major financial organization. Unfortunately, the scale of the attacker is making all of us targets of opportunity, and to really understand their ability to monetize and, most importantly, innovate. Over the last few years, we've seen them expand their capabilities, responding to, if you will, the market demands of the dark web economy. And this collective continues to innovate. First they started out with the dark web marketplace, where easily you could monetize a collection of 2,000 credit cards or 2,000 records of PII or health records or whatever that might be. And that information could be sold and transacted. And it allowed them to, of course, then develop automated attack platforms, because not everybody was a hacker. Not everybody had those skill sets. So if I can have standard IT services, any member of the IT team, if you will, to be able to stand up a virtual machine, I could deploy these attack platforms at will. But they continued to innovate because, attackers or people that wanted to execute an attack, maybe in this case, a disgruntled employee, may not have the technical skill or the capability or they're worried about security. And so now they have fully enabled SaaS platforms, software as a service, where you can sign up, identify the target of your attack, provide the necessary information, pay some money with Bitcoin, of course, and they run the attack for you. Completely anonymous, completely secure. And this is the type of adversary we need to defend against. Unfortunately, they're simply watching the world burn. But luckily, organizations are responding at the board level. And across organizations, you're seeing vulnerability, ransomware have risen to the top of the risk register, not just security in general, but specific topics. More organizations are increasing their budgets, And they're needing to recognize and have recognized the need to bring in external expertise to be able to advise the leadership team to really prioritize the projects and the resources necessary to help us marshal our forces and defend our organizations. As part of this, we've identified a couple of key recommendations that can really help organizations target some of this from the top down. First and foremost, you have to be doing the basics well, making sure you have good hygiene. And at an executive level, monitoring or measuring that using maturity is an excellent tool set to really understand, are the basics of security, the hygiene, the regular everyday practices being done smoothly and efficiently so that the team has the capacity to do other things that are more relevant. And of course, ensuring that there's great executive sponsorship, that it's not a technology problem, a business problem. And as part of that, many boards are bringing on critical friends in the non-executive role to advise on security and technology to help them better understand the challenges they face. Of course, remember, it's not just your risk, but the risk of your supply chain. So understanding that risk, where are you sharing information? And one big challenge for many organizations is as their business evolves and grows, people rarely take a second look at that supply chain to make sure, wait a minute, we're doing a ton more business with this partner. Have we relooked at security to make sure that we're not exposed because we never expected to be this successful? And so that's always a good challenge to have, but it also creates great security risks that are key to focus on. And of course, keeping current, making sure that your organization, both technical, but most importantly at the executive level, really have that understanding of what are the current threats that are affecting your business sector, your company, and other businesses. And finally, understanding your level of preparedness. Ultimately, are you ready to be able to identify when an attack occurs, monitor and share that information, and be able to action the remediation so that you can contain that attack and mitigate that as quickly as possible for your organization. So with that to be said, a few of the highlights with some of the key things that we've discussed, not only recently in the UK, but also in our event in Gibraltar. And James, I'd like to have you come back in and see if we have any questions that we want to answer from the audience.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. I think that's a great start to our executive cyber series. There, some really useful food for thought for CEOs and boards on how to set their organizations up securely. I mean, actually, I think with on the Q&A front, because we're trying to keep it super short, I'd probably encourage people to email Joe with those questions. You'll also have an invite email from him. I'm sure you'll remember that in your inbox. So you could simply reply to him that way if you wanted, rather than writing down the email on your screen. So I'd say I would just reach out to him directly in that way with any questions you may have, and I'm sure you might have quite a few. I think we can wrap up a little early, which would be great. Give you 5 minutes back. So yeah, the final thing for me would be just simply keep an eye on your inbox. We've got a whole series of these coming up. The next one will be in a few weeks' time. I have seen a question come in right now, but so we will respond to that person directly. Actually, fair enough, Joe. We've got a couple of minutes. Why don't we just cover that one off? Can you see that on your screen, or would you like me to read it out for you?
I can't, unfortunately.
No problem at all. It's okay. So let's cover it. We've got a couple of questions. So a couple of minutes rather. So what do you think of the value of attaining cyber essentials is? And 27,000 beyond that, what's and there's a question about what our next session would be. I'll cover the second bit off myself. We're still very much planning that. We've actually got a chap from the police, I think, is going to come along to give quite a different angle on cybersecurity from the police NCSC sort of standpoint. So that's probably going to be our next one, but do watch your email inbox for that. So back to the first question for you, Joe, the value of attaining cyber essentials. Can you give us a quick response on that one?
No, I think Cyber Essentials and ISO 27000 are great steps along that journey. Okay, obviously, go for Cyber Essentials first is my recommendation, especially within the UK. It's now becoming a prerequisite for a lot of organizations to conduct business or to be part of supply chains, especially for the NHS. Cyber Essentials, I think, really looks at hygiene. essentially looking at endpoints, basic admin management, vulnerabilities, etc. And it can help you start that journey because, one, it gets the whole organization in the mindset. We need to be thinking about security across the whole team, and it allows you to achieve that certification, have a milestone, and really use it as a way to drive forward. Of course, ISO is a phenomenal standard. It is the benchmark, if you will, and it's a journey that everybody goes on. Now, I always recommend adhering to the principles of ISO throughout that journey and using it as a guidepost. Whether an organization actually goes for certification is ultimately a business decision, but the fundamentals are sound.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so going back to my wrap up. So yeah, watch your inboxes for the next invite coming your way. And that's it. We'll call it a wrap. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for attending and have a great rest of your day.